What's up, everyone? We are rounding out the week with the number 8 pick. This is Talkin Grizz. We're talking again to Philip Rossman-Reich, the site expert and editor at Orlando Magic Daily. We talked to you for the number 5 pick. We are back with the number 8 pick, and you had mentioned it when we talked the first time, Philip, that the Orlando Magic didn't have a coach at the time we were recording. Big news, they've got a coach now. We're on the clock for the number 8 pick. So let's start off with the coaching news. You're getting a guy coming in 7 years with the Mavs with this great resume of development, which is good for a young team like Orlando, a big defensive guy. Let me know your thoughts on how you think he fits with the roster that the Orlando Magic currently have.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to him speak at his introductory press conference, it really feels like this was a really natural and easy fit. He's someone that he's really focused on individual player growth and player development. That's been his whole coaching career. I mean, he even said it or Jeff Waltman, the president of basketball operations, said it. You kind of are who you come into the league as, and he came into the league as a player development guy. And that's how Mosley has developed his track record throughout his coaching career. And so for a young team that just needs to get better. I mean, frankly, wins and losses isn't going to be the measure for success next year for this Magic team. I think that the goal is let's just get better. Let's start figuring out how we can build a team and how we can eventually win games. And I think Mosley, from everything that I've seen and read about him is a perfect fit for that. And, as long as he has an action plan to make things happen and to help these guys get better and brings in a good staff, I think the Magic will have made a really good hire.
Yeah. And so, agreed. And I think I think it is important with a young team like that to have someone who is in development. I know someone in the press conference the other day had mentioned you give up wins sometimes when you're trying to develop. And he was like, maybe, but the goal is to do both. And I think that is his mindset. So it is a pretty cool fit. I also saw a bunch of articles of him training in MMA. How crazy is that?
Yeah, he's a young guy for a coach. He's 42, 43 years old. So, there's some big MMA fans on the Magic. I know Michael Carter-Williams has his own MMA podcast. Terrence Ross, I know does some MMA style training in the off season. I know he's a big MMA fan too. I would not, the thing we know about Mosley, when he was an assistant coach with the Mavericks, he'd get on the floor with his guys. He'd be defending Luka Doncic out there and really getting his hands dirty. I think especially from a head coach for a young team, seeing their coach kind of in the trenches with them, I think that'll go a long way to kind of building trust and building credibility.
Absolutely. Okay, so you went with the number 5 pick earlier in the week, Jonathan Kuminga off the board. Let's talk about this number 8 pick now, because 8 is still, it's not 1, but it's high up there. You got 2 top 10 picks with this Orlando Magic team. Let's talk about who you think fits that number 8 spot, especially now that you know the new coaching philosophy and the coach and how he likes defense and development. And okay, let's go. Number 8. What are you looking at? What are the names being discussed?
Yeah, no, I think again, like I said the last time, that the main thing for the Magic is bring in talent. You want to bring in as much talent as you can. This team is such an unformed shape of clay. You got to be able to mold it how you want. Having said that, obviously the talent pool at 8 is a little bit deeper than maybe the talent pool at 5. There's a lot more different guys that you can take, whether it's someone like Moses Moody, who's more prototypical 3-and-D guy, or, taking a little bit of a gamble on a James Bouknight, who's probably one of the better scorers in this draft. His season was cut short a little bit by injury last year. You could take a gamble on someone like Keon Johnson, who's just this crazy good athlete. Davion Mitchell, obviously a little bit older, but he played so well in the NCAA tournament. Such a great defender. He's a good centerpiece, not centerpiece, but a good kind of anchor to any team that needs a little bit of defense in the backcourt. And then you can even get into guys like Alperen Sengun, if you're looking to go a little bit bigger. There are so many options available at this 8th pick. And so you just have to kind of really assess what you're looking to accomplish. Do you need someone that can contribute immediately? Do you need someone that you're going to take a little bit of swing on and say, I think this guy can be my star. I think this guy could be the steal of the draft at 8. Or are you looking to just fill a simple need on the roster? I didn't even mention Corey Kispert or Franz Wagner, guys who are a little bit more established, maybe lower ceilings as far as how good they can be, but can pretty much, I think, step onto a floor and play and make meaningful contributions for even winning teams at this point of their careers.
The only thing that you said, though, earlier is when we were talking just before we started recording is a guy like Davion Mitchell, I thought would be love to be coached by Jamahl Mosley. He's a big defensive guy. He was in charge of the Mavs defense. But the Orlando Magic have guards. They have point guards. And so a lot of these guys may not necessarily fit. And so you're talking best talent. You want to bring that best talent in. But do the Orlando Magic look at like, okay, maybe we don't take Davion. Maybe we don't take Keon Johnson. Do they look for a big? Does it matter, do you think?
I mean, I think what matters is you got to make sure that there's playing time for whoever you draft. I think that's the most important thing. Like you don't want to, some of it is you don't want to spend a top 10 pick and have that guy kind of sit on the bench and not get used. And so some of this might be in tandem with other moves the Magic are thinking of making. I mean, I think the Magic will be pretty active on the trade market. I think, they've got Gary Harris, who's on an expiring contract next year. I think Terrence Ross is someone that a lot of teams have interest in and would seemingly fit better on more of a winning team, despite the Magic's need for some veteran players, to be frank. And so I think that one thing that you do have to consider with this 8th pick, especially, is this guy going to actually play for our team? Davion Mitchell's a great example. Like the Magic have Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton can play a little point guard, although apparently he's grown to 6'7", so he might be more of a swing guard at this point, like a 2-3 at this point. Michael Carter-Williams, I think, is still a really valuable veteran. You can play him at either guard position. And so the question that I would have if you're drafting someone like Davion Mitchell is where's he going to play? I'd honestly put the same question to drafting someone like Alperen Sengun, who I really like as a potential center prospect. But if the Magic are still heavily invested in Wendell Carter Jr. and have designs of signing him as a restricted free agent next summer, or even Mo Bamba, if they're still interested in developing him and giving him a chance with a new coach to see what he can do, a former number 6 pick in the draft before he enters restricted free agency, where are you going to find minutes for a center like Sengun if you still have those two players on your roster? So I think you do have to put some consideration on, if this guy is the best talent on the board, if Davion Mitchell's the best talent on the board, does that mean we're going to move on from Cole Anthony at this point? Does that mean we're going to move on from Markelle Fultz? And obviously Markelle Fultz may not be back until January next year because of the ACL injury, but I think those are real questions you have to ask as you're kind of forming your big board and making your decision.
All right, so let's form our big board then. You're on the clock for the number 8 pick. Since that number 5 pick earlier this week when you chose Jonathan Kuminga, Scotty Barnes is picked up at 6 by the Thunder. Davion Mitchell was drafted by the Golden State Warriors. You are on the clock. Number 8 pick you are going with.
I've been going with Moses Moody in almost every mock draft at this 8th pick. I think I mentioned in the last podcast, I wanted to take one player that was a little bit of a swing, a little bit of a home run swing and try and find my star, and then use the 2nd pick to grab someone that I feel pretty certain and pretty safe is going to be a contributor to my team moving forward. And, one thing that Jamahl Mosley mentioned a lot during his press conference was, he wanted his offense to be based on pace and space, and he wanted his defense to be be physical and disruptive. And I think Moses Moody, more than any player in this range of the draft, is someone that fits that bill. Everyone's yeah, exactly. Everyone's kind of slotted him as your prototypical 3-and-D guy. He's, I think, 6'8" with like a 7'2" wingspan, so he fits the measurables that the Magic certainly like. But he definitely still has to get better defensively and be more of a lockdown defender. I think he gets sucked into trying to go for steals and blocks too much. But for a young team that's trying to put pressure, trying to get some shooting, the Magic desperately need shooting. If Moses Moody's shooting checks out, to me, he is not just to me, I view him as a safe pick, as someone who's going to at least be that. But the fact that at Arkansas, he was able to be a top scorer, he had a couple of 28-point games. He was a really good scorer. I wouldn't expect him to be the number 1 option in the NBA, but there's at least the hints that, he's played that role before and been fairly successful at it. He had a 28-point game, I think, against Alabama, who was a really good team last year, and against LSU in the SEC tournament. There's at least a hint that he can take his game up another level. And so I think that would be a really good investment for the Magic and a player that at the very least is going to be a rotation caliber player for them.
I like that pick. I like it. Moses Moody, number 8 pick to the Orlando Magic. Philip, these 2 times that we've talked now this week have been great. The Orlando Magic don't have another pick before the Grizzlies when our mock draft is all done at 17. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate your insight. And again, I'm so excited for July 29th to see Imagine if they're just all right. Imagine if you guys just knock it out of the park and that's what you get. That'd be great.
It'd be good. It'd be good. At least I'd look smarter.
All right. Thank you so much, Philip. And Grizzlies fans, we will see you next week on grindcitymedia.com.